Every year, millions of engines die a horrible death of friction and rods being pushed through the engine block and all kind of carnage. And I am not exaggerating on that. And all of that could have been prevented by a little cloth just like this from Amazon Basics. Stay tuned. We're going to go through it step by step, how to check your own oil. All right, we're here inside the Lincoln MKC that my wife owns. We're going to check the oil level on her car today. The first thing that we're going to need to do is we're going to need to pop the hood. So we're gonna look inside your car, and I'll cut some footage in here right here of something that you're looking for. You're gonna look for a button or a lever that has the hood or the bonnet. For our folks over in England, it's gonna have a little release showing how it pops up, kind of like your rear trunk or your hatch. This one's over here on this kick panel, and we're just gonna pull the lever back on this Lincoln MKC, and that's gonna pop the hood. At this point, what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to reach inside. Every vehicle is a little different, and you're going to actually want to release the hood latch. Let me grab my GoPro and I'll show you, try to show you on this car. The hood latch is actually yellow, so you can see it there, kind of hiding out inside. So I'm just going to pop the latch, and with my other hand I'm going to lift. And it's a little easier with two hands. All engines from like the dawn of time have had what's called an oil dipstick. That is literally, it is a metal rod that goes inside of your engine all the way down to the oil pan to a particular level set by the manufacturer, so it can tell you how much oil is actually in your engine. That's what we're going to do now. It's usually held in with a little O-ring gasket. You can see it right there. That O-ring helps create a good seal to keep out the elements outside of your engine. So what we're going to do is we're going to give it a good pull, just like so, and we're going to pull the dipstick out. Now at that point, what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and take our Amazon Basics microfiber cloth, and we're going to wipe off the dipstick because we want to give a good clean reading. There is no GPS for this. There is no real app for this. Your car will tell you if it's critically low on oil, usually right before the engine locks up. So I'm going to replace the dipstick back in the tube, so you can see that there is a tube that the dipstick goes into. So what you want to do is once you've reinserted the dipstick into the dipstick tube, you want to push it down as far as it will go until sometimes you'll hear a little click, something like that. All right, so what we want to do is go ahead and pull it back out, and we want to look at it. Now I'm going to go ahead and wipe this off again because I want to talk to you about what you should see on the dipstick. So on this vehicle, the Lincoln MKC, and I suspect that the Ford Focus and the Ford EcoSport, the Ford Fusion, and several vehicles that have similar engines to this 2.0, they're going to be all kind of similar. They're going to have two holes on them, and sometimes they have a crosshatch, just like what you're seeing there. What you are shooting for is you want to make sure you read your owner's manual, but generally speaking, you want it to be towards the top part or somewhere in this hash mark where it's all crosshatched. You really want it to be there. If your oil level's not there, then you are low on oil or you're way overfilled. So let me put the dipstick back in the engine and pull it back out, and we'll see where this engine's oil level's at. Replace it back in the tube, insert it down, push it in tight, pull it back out. All right, so as you can see, my oil is a little dark. It's getting close to needing to change the oil on this vehicle, but I want you to notice that the line is distinct. It's in the crosshatch, which means the oil level is just fine on this vehicle. This car does not need to have any oil added to it. It's safely in the crosshatch. I've read the owner's manual on this, and sometimes it can be hard to see the oil on the front side, so you can turn it over and see where the oil's at. But on this vehicle, the oil is really distinct. Now this oil is really cold. This car has not been driven in a couple days, so the oil might actually be a little bit higher if the engine was the oil was warm, simply because of expansion just a little bit. But overall, we are safe. So what you want to do, you can go ahead and just wipe the dipstick off one more time with your Amazon Basics towel. Reinsert the dipstick until you hear a click. and then you are good to go. All right, so what we're going to learn now is how to add oil back to the car if you need to add some oil to it. What you're going to need is you're going to need your oil. You're going to need a quart of oil, or it might be a liter of oil if you're overseas. I'm not 100% sure. And you're also going to need to locate your oil fill plug or your oil fill cap. That's what this particular car has. Right here, it's real close to the dipstick. Right here is the oil fill cap. Ford has done a really good job of actually labeling this, so we know that this takes 5W30 oil. It's real close to the engine oil dipstick. And what you'll do is you'll just go ahead and twist that cap and remove it. Not hopefully to drop it. You want to be very careful. You don't want to get anything in the engine. I'm going to leave the cap on this this quart of oil. But what you're going to do is you're going to want to try to very carefully add just a little bit of oil at a time. Let it drain through the engine. Give it a minute or two. Maybe add a quarter quart, or a half quart, depending on where your dipstick's at. Most quarts of oil have some marks on it just like that. And so what you're going to want to do is just add a little bit of oil, let it drain through the engine, get to the oil pan, and you're going to want to go ahead and double check your oil level again. Make sure if you're in range or not. You don't want to overfill. Now, I usually will not use a funnel because I pour my oil this way. If you put the spout towards the top, it won't do the glug glug thing. If you pour it this way, it will glug. Pour it this way, it won't glug. Seems backwards, but it's true. Now, if you're not comfortable, you're not real steady-handed, you can use a funnel. Just like this, a cheap little funnel you pick up at the parts store or Walmart or something like that. And what you want to do is you just put that right in there, leave it sitting, and then pour a little bit of oil in. Check your oil level, and then put your cap back after you're done. Just like that. There are so many cars that go to the junkyard every single year, every single week, that could have been saved just by checking the oil. Don't run your engine out of oil. Please check your oil. Change it regularly, but please check the oil level. Some cars have a tendency to burn oil as they get a little bit older, or maybe you have a turbo, like this car has a turbo, and that truck over there is a 2022 Silverado with a turbo 4-cylinder engine. Those vehicles consume oil sometimes. These particular ones do not, but some of them do. So you have to check your oil at regular intervals. Just recently, I know some people who lost an engine just because the engine ran out of oil. There was a problem with the engine. Had they been checking it regularly, they would have realized that for some reason the engine oil level is going down. How often should you check your oil? I recommend to check it at least every other fuel fill up. Just while your car's pumping gas, just pop the hood, grab your Amazon Basic microfiber towel, and check your oil level.